today we're going to do a spicy seaweed salad. First of all, you want to start off with an onion, a few bright colored vegetables such as red and yellow peppers. I like to throw in some chives in there because the seaweed I like to use is Hijiki and alaria, and this is a super dark, almost black seaweed, very high in calcium and lots of nutrients. Almost all the land vegetable nutrients is just in this one sea vegetable. First of all, you're going to soak it for about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how many. This is about 3 or 4 cups of the alaria dried, and then it expands about this much. And this could easily feed about 5 or 6 people. Once you've soaked it for about 20 or 30 minutes, you want to strain it and rinse it really good, because sometimes they'll have a little bit of a bitter and salty flavor to it and kind of fishy. So you want to make sure you rinse all of that off. So first you're going to start off with chopping 1 onion. I try to keep all of my produce all organic. It's also higher in nutrients, but it's also good for the environment. You know, they're not using any kind of pesticides. And you're just getting all of your good nutrients regardless of the location. Okay, so you're going to just chop your onions to about a 1-inch square size. Try to get it uniform so they all cook evenly. And then set this aside. So you want to juice about 2 lemons. And there's lots of other flavors going into here that's going to just brighten up this whole dish, such as some organic tamari. I like to use wheat-free organic tamari, some goldmine ume vinegar that really gives it a nice sour punch, some chili flakes for spice. This is some coconut ghee. This is going to be our cooking oil base, and some Celtic sea salt and organic black pepper. So now that we have our lemons juiced, our onions chopped, we're going to chop up some bright colored vegetables, and today I'm going to do some organic bell peppers. Organic bell peppers actually are higher in vitamin C than an orange. Super high in vitamin C. And it's also very important to leave the little white fibers on the inside of the pepper, because this is where a lot of the nutrients are, and lots of antioxidants, tons of vitamin C, a few other ingredients in there that just make bell peppers incredibly healthy for you. And again, just like the onions, I'm going to chop these so that they're kind of like an inch square, so that they all cook evenly. Okay, so we have all of our peppers chopped, and I'm going to go ahead and chop up our green chives. So here's the seaweed all soaked and strained and rinsed. The rinsing again is going to be taking out all the sand and a little bit of the fishy flavor. And it wants to be nice and soft and bendable. You can also use the water that it was soaked in for 20 or 30 minutes as a stock. You just want to make sure you get all the sand and sediment out of the bottom of it, and then you can add it to a soup or add a little bit to like a vegetable stir fry, and you're actually adding tons of nutrients to that dish that you're adding the broth to. So I'm going to set this aside and get my pan nice and hot on about a medium to a high heat. And this is kind of a large pan. I like to have a lot of surface space so that the seaweed can kind of cook evenly. You want seaweed to cook kind of well, because sometimes it can be a little bit tough. And then I like to use a little bit of coconut ghee. This is just a little bit of ghee, which is clarified butter, and coconut oil. And I usually use about for a dish this size, about 2 tablespoons roughly. And this is Green Pastures, which this is the first coconut ghee I've seen on the market that's actually pretty good. I'm gonna add some of the onions. So the onions are gonna saute, depending on the thickness of the onions that you chopped, for a good 4 to 6 minutes, depending on how large the onion is and how much you're trying to cook. And around this time is when I like to add about a teaspoon to almost a tablespoon, depending on how spicy you like your food, of the chili flakes, because with the oil from the coconut oil and ghee, and then the juices from the onions, it's actually going to start to pull out the spicy elements of the chili flakes. You want to watch your heat, make sure you don't burn your onions or oil. And just let this simmer for a good few minutes. And I also like to add a little bit of Celtic sea salt during this time too, just because the Celtic sea salt actually helps to draw out some of the moisture from the onions to keep the dish hydrated so that it doesn't start sticking to the pan just yet. And using a sea salt like Celtic sea salt actually adds lots of minerals to your dish. It's super high in magnesium and potassium, and not only is it healthy for you, but it also enhances the flavor of your dish naturally. So it kind of like plays on the minerals already in the vegetables. Adding just a little bit of fresh cracked pepper. One of my favorite things is as the onions are sauteing, I like to add all the different flavors and spices and herbs so they kind of intermingle with the onions. So this is kind of like my base of flavor for a whole dish. And then because the onions do start to stick to the pan just slightly, this is actually a good thing. It's when it's caramelizing. And to get the little bits and pieces to come off of the pan, you want to use a little bit of acid. You can use lemon juice, vinegar, wine. I love to use ume vinegar. This is a Osawa ume vinegar. This actually is very alkalinizing for your blood. It helps the pH of your blood to become more alkaline. And it's got a great punchy sour flavor to it. Now I'm going to go ahead and add our peppers. All those bright, beautiful colors. You can even add green peppers, you can add asparagus, whatever bright colors you might like. Sometimes I'll even add some kale. Now I still like my bell peppers nice and crunchy, so I'm going to go ahead and not let them cook for too long on their own. I'm going to add the seaweed, which is going to lower the temperature drastically. The smell is just amazing with the chili flakes and the seaweed and the peppers and onions. So I like to let this cook for just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of our lemon juice, probably almost half of the lemon juice of the 2 lemons we squeezed earlier. And this is going to just give it some nice bright flavors. And then I cover it for a good 10 minutes or so. You want to check on it periodically to make sure that it's not sticking to the bottom. And if it is, you just want to stir it a little bit, maybe add a little bit of ume vinegar. This is just vinegar made from umeboshi plums, which is an ancient Japanese tradition of pickling these Japanese plums, and then they save the vinegar part, or the juice of it, and turn it into vinegar. And I always finish off with a little bit of Celtic sea salt. Some black pepper, and some bright green chives or scallions. I love this. It gives it a nice punch of flavor and another contrast of color. And there you have it, spicy seaweed salad. Super high in iodine, vitamin C, great for every day, hot or cold. You can find this recipe and more at CelticSeaSalt.com. My name is Carla. Thank you so much for watching.